City Soccer is back tonight. With just 1 week until the MLS All-Star Game and 2 from the League's Cup, New York City FC looks to bounce back from a loss and a draw at the Benz against Atlanta United. It's time for New York City FC Pregame Live. Here are Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Well, it's a pretty cool venue here, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. And we are here for New York City FC's third road game in a 4-game swing leading into League's Cup. It's an important tilt tonight where New York City plays the hometown Atlanta United. You see, look at this again, Matt. That's a big old stadium. When you're here, you can really feel it. I mean, you're like, it's massive. Yeah. I don't think it's done justice through pictures, but there it is.
I'm with you. You cannot do this place justice unless you're here, unless you're within the confines. Look, if only it didn't have that synthetic pitch, if only it didn't have that plastic pitch, everything would almost be perfect. But with the plastic, the synthetic pitch, it just makes it feel what it is, an American football stadium. Only the same with, there's nothing, we can't say anything about it. Yankee Stadium's a baseball field, baseball stadium, so there's nothing we can say about it. But it just, for me, if that was grass down there, then this would be a really divine. We could say setting.
Anything about any venue just because we do games at Yankee Stadium or Citi Field, especially now where we know there's going to be a soccer-specific
I guess I just always
coming.
like there being a caveat so that people can't turn around and say, well, that's hypocritical because you play at a baseball
that's
stadium.
What everybody says. Yeah. If you put anything on social media about it, because I think Gillette Stadium is garbage for soccer, and then all the New England supporters will say, yeah, well, you played a baseball stadium. And I'm going to roll this starting line. Matty, the story of today is who's not here. I mean, you could only play who you have available.
You and I are here.
Yeah,
we can only.
This is truly one where if Nick had seen us in the hotel, he would have probably said, "You guys could suit up tonight if you want," especially you. Because New York City's a little light at the back, as is Atlanta United. It's two teams that are missing some real critical pieces. But let me just give you an idea. This is a combination of either suspension, injury, or just simply rest.
Yeah.
So not here. Malachi Jones, we know about that. But then it's Tavon Gray, Kevin O'Toole, Andres Perea, all injured. Perea, the sound of it is that it could be long-term. Yeah. James Sands suspended. Left home, Santi Rodriguez and Thiago Martins. Now that's 7 guys, most of them regulars in the starting 11, and then Andres Perea has been in and out of the 11. He's been less regular than Sands and Parks in there. So you've got Justin Hack moving into the midfield next to Keaton Parks. You've got Hannes Wolf, who's going to move from a wide spot and play the number 10, where they played him quite a bit in preseason because they had this notion that he might fit in best there with all the wingers they have, and then maybe Santi Rodriguez to his left. Well, Santi's not here, so his is not an injury. His is just going into last game. He had played every minute but 71, and last game was his. There's no question about it. It was probably the least effective game he's played all year for sure, but in a very long time that I could remember, and obviously a big part of it was the guy's gassed.
Yeah, we can waffle on and on about fitness and the fact that he's a pro athlete and he gets paid an awful lot of money, but you could see that he was mentally and physically shattered. Santi Rodriguez. Yeah. I think there would have been a massive chance with the flight down here, then playing on the synthetic pitch, the artificial turf. I think there would have been a massive chance. He would have firstly played badly, and then secondly, more importantly, he would have pulled something. I think it would have been almost certain.
It's 4 straight games now where New York City has suffered an injury to a starting player within the first half hour of the match. So it's a concern, and it's that time of year. It's players in many cases, with the exception of Perea, who had logged a lot of minutes. Tavon Gray, who was not a regular at the beginning of the year, now he's putting in all these minutes. Kevin O'Toole, I mean, he was like Santi. I mean, he hadn't barely sat out just once from a concussion. Then he's back the next week. Yeah. So I think you've got guys that have just they call it load, right? Training load, game load, and these guys were overloaded.
Obviously, we're not privy to those statistics, but I don't think you need to be. The eye test is enough for us as analysts. That's for certain. You could see that Thiago Martins and Santi Rodriguez are absolutely shattered. You can see that it's not just a physical fatigue, it's a mental fatigue. And I think specifically with those two players as well, Thiago Martins, so much of his game is about sprinting. It's about fast pace. It's about being quick over those 10 or 20 yards. I don't think he's always the best defender in terms of positional play because he doesn't need to be. His pace gets him out of trouble. So if he pulls a hamstring, that sets him back a long, long way. And also just the way he works and the way he plays, he's then likely to do it again and again and again. I think Santi Rodriguez, similarly, he's not anywhere near as quick as Thiago Martins, but so much of what he does is little short, sharp bursts, Glenn, over 3-4 yards and those quick turns. I think both of those would have been susceptible, especially on the surface here, would have been susceptible to muscle injuries.
And then with Hannes Wolf in the starting lineup and Matt Freese, of course, again, in the 11 in goal for New York City FC, they will be the only two players that have participated in all 24 matches. This number 24. After today, only 10 games left in the regular season. As
a train's just coming across. It's Brewster's Millions. I think there's a train coming up.
If you look closely, the goalkeepers for both sides are beginning their warm-up with respective goalkeeper coaches. Robert Tugian for New York City FC. We talked about Matt Freese. Luis Barraz is here. Thomas Romero is here. So 3 keepers. And you know who also is here? And when we got on the plane yesterday, I saw these guys are at the airport. I'm thinking, wait, is this a U.S. Open Cup game? Because we're a trio of players for the New York City FC 2 team. That's a U.S. Open Cup joke, because the 2 team for New York City played in the U.S. Open Cup, not the senior team, which is one of the more ridiculous aspects of certain things that occasionally happen within Major Soccer. So it's Drew Baera, Maximo Carrizo, and Piero Elias, who are all here. 2 of them are midfielders, Elias and Carrizo, and Baera is a fullback. So New York City's not deep in that area as well. You've got Christian McFarlane, who you talk about somebody who was dragging at the end last week. He's just not. He's not used to 90 minutes at this level.
I don't think there's any way in the world that he can last 90 minutes today. Certainly not to the best of his ability. That's for certain. If you want to leave him out there for the last 20 minutes, then so be it. But again,
so who goes in? So who goes in? I mean, you've got the bench.
When you have to force things. Then maybe Hannes Wolf drops in and plays left back for a little bit.
So and Justin Hack played left back. Look, remember a couple of games ago.
Things are going to have to be forced today if players need to come out, and we know that some players will have to come out. Ojeda rarely lasts 90 minutes, but Risa doesn't last 90 minutes that often. Christian McFarlane, it will be a surprise if he lasts 90 minutes. So you're going to have to start fitting those square pegs. I know it's a cliche, into round holes.
So you wonder about these 3 young guys that they brought along, the baby blues, as sometimes they are affectionately known. But is Baera maybe the one that has the greatest opportunity to come in, or is it Carrizo? He's a bit more seasoned on the youth national team level. He has 37 appearances on the NYCFC 2 team, still 16 years old. Barea is 17, and Elias is 21 years old. So that just gives you. So you just wonder, and when you're a coach and you're dealt this kind of a hand, so this is when Nick Cushing found out that 7 people were left home. Did you see his face? That was that poor.
Well, he left them there.
Yeah.
Well, granted, only a couple of them that he left there. Yeah. One suspension, other injuries.
If you are watching, let's see if I can get up. Is he still up there? No, he's not up there anymore. I was going to give you the Dax McCarty was up on the scoreboard for on the video screen. So he will start. This will be his 15th appearance against New York City FC. Now, most of that was with the New York Red Bulls. And when these ex-Red Bull players come and play New York City when they're on other teams, there's a little extra something. Tom Barlow came in off the bench for Chicago, and he's fired up. And
there absolutely 100% has to be. You can't suddenly forget that this was your arch rival. I was lucky enough to play in a number of London derbies, and just because you went and played for a different team didn't mean that you forgot that this is almost the hated arch rival. And look, Dax McCarty, anyway, we know what a really good professional he is, and a born winner, and it wouldn't really matter for him whether it was Colorado Rapids he was facing, or Austin, or NYCFC. But the fact he's facing NYCFC, Glenn, just gives him that extra little percentile or two. He'll find an extra studs up challenge here or there, or an extra little 50-50 that he'll go in a little bit late just to make it 60-40 against, so he can take the ball and leave a little bit on the play, whatever it may be. But look, I love watching players like Dax McCarty and people who are coming to the twilight of their career, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying that, but just savouring every last minute that they're going to have. Now,
you played over 650 professional matches, so this number is not going to, at all, alter any thing about, what a 480 first appearance this will be for him.
He'll want to get to 500. I know. I've been there and done it. And when you get close to 500, you want to get to 500. And then when you get to 550, you want to get to 600. And that's just the way it is. Especially with people like Dax McCarty. He'll just want to savour every single minute, Glenn. He really will. And for me, no surprise that he's out there. That's for certain.
37 years old, Dax McCarty, New York City FC. Our airtime is 7:15 Eastern for the pregame show, part of our live commentary, the exclusive one-on-one with Nick Cushing. I didn't ask him about Tylus Magno in that interview. However, Magno is on the bench, and the feeling I get is that he may get a chance to play tonight for the first time since the opener, when he only played 6 minutes off the bench against Charlotte. He's had some knee injuries, but mostly it's been coach's decision to either leave him out of the squad or as an unused sub, which he's been the last 2 matches. So it was 4 games not in the squad, 2 consecutive games unused sub. But with Ojeda playing on the left, I mean, you could do different things. There are things that Nick Cushing can do. I have this sense that we're going to see Magno tonight.
You just can't envisage either winger lasting the 90 minutes because they just haven't played many 90 minutes. That's not because they're unfit.
Julian Fernandez on the other side.
Fernandez being the other one. They're just not match sharp. They're not match fit. Look, I would have bet a large sum of your money, Glenn, on Tylus Magno, never playing for the club again. I really would have done. I've seen that kind of situation where somebody, I don't want to say shrouded out, but it seemed that whatever was going on between the relationship, whether it's purely professional or a little bit of a personal relationship between manager and player, it just seemed that it wasn't a fit and it wasn't going to work out for Tylus Magno here. But you look at the bench now, lack of quality, a lack of experience on there. You look at the starting lineup, there's 4 or 5 players I would say probably aren't going to last the whole 90 minutes. I almost don't see how Tylus Magno isn't going to come on.
I guess we should revisit this. Brenda, where's Santi? Where's Martins? Just a review because it's worth it. And we were alerted yesterday that they simply have been left home because of the amount of minutes they have played. In particular, Santi, you're on artificial surface. So, Matty, at the outset of this, we were talking about the plastic that they're playing on, and it's a surface where no matter the people who make this turf. Let's show it. The people who make this turf for this stadium, they will give you all the statistics as to how you get. There are less frequent injuries on our surface than if you played on grass, and you'll see all that. The fact is that it's harder on your legs.
Yes.
I mean it's much harder on your legs.
So I've played and trained on both. Luckily, I only played on artificial surface in friendly matches. Never played it in a professional game because it just doesn't happen back in England. That's not. I'm not saying anybody's better. It's just the fact there's so many soccer-specific stadiums in England and there aren't here. I think it makes perfect sense for Thiago Martins. And as you say, we did discuss it earlier, but we discuss it again. Thiago Martins and Santi Rodriguez. Specifically, Santi Rodriguez was mentally and physically absolutely shot to pieces at the back end of the last game. He really was. You know that as well. You know that he's also mentally a little bit fatigued. He started dropping deeper and deeper. He started dropping into number 6 role where he's not comfortable. He doesn't like it when he's got people snapping at his heels from behind him and people in front of him. He just doesn't like that. And that's totally fine. And he gave the ball away so many times and so many more times than he normally does. This is just the last game. And that is physical and mental fatigue. I think he would have been so susceptible to pulling something if he'd have played today, Glenn. That for me is why he's been
23 games, 2,070 minutes for the club. Okay, this Santi, he's not playing today. He's left home. All 23 previous games, 1,990 96 minutes. That means he only sat out for 74 minutes in all those games in a position where he's doing a lot of running, a lot of accelerating, a lot of closing down because he won the ball in the opponent's end when he was sharp.
So much better at that, certainly in 2023 and 2012, really 2024, in playing on both sides of the ball and being a real team player. And I think the way that NYCFC plays, you've got to be able to play on both sides of the ball. And he's really made that a big part of his game, which you don't want it to be a part of his game, but it has to be. You want Santi Rodriguez on the ball, always on the ball, dictating the tempo, picking passes. But especially the way NYCFC have been playing, certainly away from home, out of possession of the ball, not possessing it very well even when they do have it. He's got to do a lot of chasing and a lot of harrying. You don't want him to do it, but he has to do it. And he has been a real team player, and he's been a joy to watch on both sides of the ball this year.
He has 8 goals, which is tied with Alonso Martinez, who's on the bench tonight, for the team lead in goals scored, 7 assists, which equals Hannes Wolf. So that's what you're losing tonight with the 24-year-old Santi Rodriguez. The other guy we want to talk about is Justin Hack, who, by the way, off mic, and he wouldn't mind me saying this, I'm sure, but I said, what would you like to see better today than that Chicago match? He goes, well, I'd like us to pass to us rather than to them. So that's paraphrasing, but that was,
He's basically saying we're in the blue. Can we remember that? And again, yes.
And we've all used that line. We've all used that line. So Nick Cushing, head coach, New York City FC. I asked him about Hack's situation because Justin, this will be his 8th appearance and his first start for New York City this year. We know that someone he's very close with, Andres Jason's agent came to New York City, with a proposal, and it worked out for both sides. David Lee and Nick Cushing, they're not going to do something that doesn't also work out for the club, but they want what's best for the player too. So I think we've seen enough examples of that here with the New York City Football Club that indeed David Lee told Roberto and I last week, if the right deal came along for Tyler Magno, there's a good chance we will move him during the transfer window. But as far as Justin Hack, he's got value. But anyway, that's what I talked about with Nick Cushing, the value of Justin Hack, because he can play all these positions.
If you're coaching a team, you don't want to lose a guy like that. I mean, this is that two-sided thing. You want what's best for the player. Justin Hack, he wants to play, so the possibility of a transfer is there. Yet, the value that he brings to you to be able to just hop in the back, hop wide, wherever it might be, it's tough to lose a guy like that.
I think it's the understanding of, for everybody, staff and players, the understanding of a team, right? Everybody wants to be the guy that plays every week, that gets all the numbers, but it doesn't work like that in a team. Everybody plays a part, and whether you're in or you're out, or you're off the bench. And one thing I say consistent to the team is, in MLS, the schedule is so brutal, there's so many ups and downs that everybody's good moment is right around the corner. Everybody's opportunity is right around the corner, and you just got to make sure that you're ready.
Make sure you're ready. Take advantage, right, Matty Lawrence? I mean, that's
absolutely.
There's not much more you can do. And New York City has taken the field. They've begun their pregame warm-up. The starters are on the far side. You'd have to really get the binoculars out here, or the magnifying glass on your screen to see them. And apologies that I just don't have a Zoom function. Maybe as I move along in my the age of technology, my understanding of it, we can do that someday. But so Hack, big chance for him. He's in the midfield with Parks, so he's going to sit more. Parks will have a little bit more authority to get forward with Hannes Wolf. So it's really going to be interesting to see how that works. Well, there's a lot of interest today because both teams are missing players and for a variety of reasons. So, and one thing you noted, Matty, as we were talking before we came on the air, is the road form for New York City FC. Despite the fact that they've won 3 consecutive games in that one stretch and now have 3 road wins, which is 2 more than they had all of last year, the struggle is in the attacking side of things, scoring goals.
The struggle's real in that scoring side of things. They've only scored 8 goals away from home in 11 games, and only Austin FC with 5 goals have conceded less out of the 29 teams in MLS away from home. That tells you all you need to know. Whether you've won 3 games out of the 11 or not, it shows you've scored 8 goals in 11 games. It shows you've scored about 0.8 goals per game. It makes it very, very hard to win games of football. You've got to keep a clean sheet, and then hope that it's one of your 8 out of 11 that you score a goal, even just to win the game, Glenn. It makes it very, very difficult. But and that is a negative. But the positive is that there's only NYCFC and Columbus Crew who have only conceded 13 goals away from home. So they are 28th out of 29 in terms of scoring goals away from home, but they are first, joint top out of 29 at conceding goals or keeping goals out, I should say. So it shows you the absolute disparity. And also, if we're real about things and if we're going purely on those statistics, it means that NYCFC games away from home are really boring. Because there's no goals.
Case in point, Soldier Field, man.
And look here in the US as well, when there are lots of talks about statistics, so many times people will say that a 0-0 game, that means it has to be boring. So there's not been many goals. We know that's not a fact. But what we do know in the last away game, that it was 0-0 and it was tedious and tepid. And I think that everybody would agree with that, from the staunchest NYCFC fan to the head coach, Nick Cushing. Yes, I think we can all go away and say, it wasn't a bad point away from home against Chicago. They're a hard team to score goals against, there at Soldier Field. And it was just a timid and a tepid game.
Now, Atlanta, they've got Daniel Rios leading the front line when it used to be Yakamakis, who transferred to Cruz Azul, and Thiago Almada is gone. He's gone to Botafogo, but that's a complicated situation. He's going to go from there to Europe. And
I'm not even sure he'll get in at Botafogo. Botafogo are top of Serie A, top of Brazil in Brazil. That's a great league, and Botafogo are top. So let's see if he even plays there for starters.
But he's not here setting up
no, he's definitely
Yakamakis or Lobjanice. Saba Lobjanice, who really had a tremendous experience with his national team, Georgia Republic, as they qualified for the European Championships for the first time in the nation's history. And as we've said before, my favorite part of Georgia Republic, we're in the state of Georgia here in Atlanta for this game, but the Georgia Republic, that country is known for inventing wine in the 12th century. So good for them. Good for them, Matty. But my point here, Dax McCarty's in the midfield. There's really no true playmaker out here for Atlanta United tonight. That Rios has scored 6 goals in his last 9 games, so we've got to give him that. He's been able to finish recently, but it's kind of a paltry attack is the way you'd look at it.
Certainly for an Atlanta United side that we've been used to Joseph Martinez, Almiron, Pity Martinez when he was here for a bit, Almada obviously, and I'm sure other people could go on and on and on. Even Brooks Lennon, who's now playing as an orthodox right back, when he gets pushed forward, he's a real attacking presence, but you would hope that he won't have too many chances to attack down that right-hand side. You would hope that he's pushed back. Look, I think we could be in for another reasonably dull affair, Glenn, but let's hope not.
Yeah, let's get something that we can share.
Get our teeth into.
Listen, we dug deep for that game at Soldier Field, so hopefully and this is artificial surface. It's hard to dig, man. You know, it's hard to dig. And Nick Cushing refers to volume. And that's I like that word as it pertains to the attack, and it really has to do with creating chances and getting numbers in the area. And so the volume, the volume at Soldier Field was it's 0 to 10 usually when you have the knob with it was probably at about a 1 or 2, which might be kind. So we need to crank up the volume tonight.
We do. We need a spinal tap. We need to turn it up to 11, Glenn.
All right. Well, we're going to be on in about 5 or 6 minutes. So we invite you to join us for the hometown radio feed on the English side with the New York City Football Club. It's on the New York City FC network, NewYorkCityFC.com/radio, the NYCFC app, the TuneIn app. And my expectation is that you sync us up with the video portion that's provided by Apple Television, and then we can. And if you just happen to be, I've got to present a great article in the Athletic regarding Spain and people listening to the radio and how soccer is so important on the radio to them there, as it is in your home country too. So we're waiting to paint the pictures for you. So I hope you tune in. But thanks so much for joining us here, and we look forward to talking to you soon. And enjoy the game, everybody.